הסרט שנקרין כידוע לכם הוא וואג'יב של אנמרי ג'אסיר, ונמצאת פה ונמצאים גם כוכבי הסרט מוחמד וסלאח בקרי, ואחרי ההקרנה תתנהל שיחה איתם שתנהל אותה רייצ'ל ג'ונס, ובכלל הסוף שבוע הזה הוא הומאז' לסלאח בקרי. מחר אנחנו מקרינים בשעה 8 בערב את הסרט הזמן שנותר, The Time That Remains של איליה סלימן, שהוא מככב פה גם. אז אם ייראה לכם המשחק שלו היום, אתם מוזמנים גם, אבל רק אם, לא חובה. ואנחנו לפני נצפה בסרט, גם נראה טריילר לקראת מחר, אז זה יעזור לכם אולי להחליט. אני רוצה להזמין את נטשה דודינסקי, המנהלת האמנותית של 48 מילימטר, להגיד כמה מילים.
תודה, זה ממש מרגש מאוד לראות את העולם המפוצץ. תודה רבה שבאתם, אנחנו ממש שמחים, ותודה מאוד מאוד גדולה לאבי ולגדה השמאלית. ותודה ענקית לאנמרי ג'ייסיר שהסכימה להקרין את הסרט שלה וגם שהגיעה, וגם תודה ענקית למוחמד בכרי וסלאח בכרי, וגם למפיק הסרט אוסאמה אבל אז תישארו, אבל לפני שנראה את הסרט אני רוצה להזמין לבמה אנמרי ג'ייסיר. איפוי? אנמרי? It's really great to have you.
I'm very happy to be here. It's my first time here in this space, and I've been hearing about it from Avi for, I don't know, 20 years, and I very much support the work that Zucron is doing and many of the people.
We don't hear you.
It's not working.
No, it's not working.
Hello, not working.
It's working, but I'll put it on
I think that. So I'm very happy to be here, and also I want to thank Natasha and Rachel and everybody who's been involved in putting this event together. I will be here afterwards for a discussion, and I'm very happy that also joining me is the producer of the film, Ossama Bawardi, and also, as you know, Saleh, who I didn't know was having a retrospective this week, which is great. So Saleh is a long-time partner, and I had the great privilege to work with Mohammad Bakri for the first time.
זהו, עכשיו אפשר למחוא כפיים.
Okay. My working assumption is that we'll do this in English because Annemarie doesn't speak Hebrew. Is that cool with everyone? Is it okay. So I am going to go with the lowest common denominator assumption that maybe some of you don't know about Annemarie's filmography, so I want to just fill you in a little bit. This is her, and you'll correct me if I get any of it wrong. This is her third feature, fiction feature. Her first film, Salt of the Sea, she made in 2008, and she was the first Palestinian woman to make a feature fiction film. Her second film is called Lama Shuftak, When I Saw You, year?
2012.
2012, and this is her third. In all of them, Saleh appears as a main male lead. I think, Ossama, you produced the last two. And this is the first time that she's working with Muhammad. Yes, you saw Mr. Hummus, tea, whatever. This is. So obviously, Annemarie's films deal with being Palestinian, and being Palestinian comes in a lot of shapes and forms and sizes. Like, we have a lot of really big Palestinians on stage. The first film is mainly through the prism of a diaspora Palestinian living in the West, in this case from the US. Suhair Hamad is the female lead, and it's about coming back to Palestine and reckoning between the fantasies of what your ancestors left behind, in this case also a bank account that you can't access, and a home that you can no longer access. There's a whole scene there where the Suhair, the character, Soraya, goes back to her Jaffa house and has to deal with the fact that there's someone her age, an Israeli artist woman, living there. I was offered that part. Thank God I said no. I was like, I will never live that down. Everybody will always think I live in an Arab house in Jaffa.
I was in this lunch.
And her second film is dealing with the main character as a kid. It seems like you have something with the name Tariq. It comes up. No, isn't there a... Anyway, I noticed it. Never mind. Maybe I have a thing with the name Tariq. Anyway, that totally distracted me. I do have a thing with the name Tariq. It surrounds a Palestinian... okay. So, mainly, it's set with refugees, 67 refugees, not 48 refugees. So it's a whole other aspect. This would be Annemarie's first film where she's dealing predominantly with 48 Palestinians. Everybody understand what I mean when I say 48 Palestinians? Okay. And
there are more than 48 Palestinians.
There are more than 48 Palestinians. 4 of them are on stage right now. I would say Annemarie and I were in film school at the same time in the same years in New York. We know each other for over 20 years, so I have some sense of your trajectory. And this is, in some ways, this is your grown-up film, in the sense. I mean, I fit to how I read it. There's something soft in the whole thing. There's something round. I mean, I'm reading it, as someone the exact same age as you, and I'm interested in thinking about the self-critical and the there's a kind of there's a compassion with the non-ideal, because the other films are dealing with idealism versus reality, but there's just sort of anyway, I don't need to interpret the film for you, but I'm really, really touched by it, and I'm thinking about it as a third film and as a place that you've arrived at. I'm thinking about the various characters that you've played, and I'm feeling like, if I'm not mistaken, it's the first film that you have actually led together. You've appeared maybe in the same films, but it's the first time. And there are many ways, obviously, anybody who knows both of them knows that this isn't 100%, but there is a certain, the dynamic that happens between the characters in the film is in some ways representative of your two generations and some of your own trajectories, also vis-a-vis what it means to be an Israeli, a Palestinian citizen of Israel, what it means to be an actor working in that sphere. So, do I have a specific question? I don't know if I do. I would like you guys to ask, but I'd like to help guide it. But I thought that before I open up to the floor, this is a very unique situation that Annemarie is here, that you guys are here. This doesn't happen every day, if any day. And I wonder if there was something that you wanted to say to this specific audience in this setting before they hit you with their questions.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, it's nice because the four of us, we haven't, the film had a big life, festival life, and we traveled a lot together. And I think it's been more than a year since we've been together. I was curious to come here because I've not been here, because I don't know this audience. I know what you're doing here, and I know that you're really in a minority. So I wanted to come show some support. Feel sorry for you guys. No, that was for me. I don't know about Mohammed and Saleh. Solidarity. We came to show you our solidarity.
Thank you. אני חושב שאני זוכר את המקום הזה מהמקומות הראשונים שהקרינו את הסרט, ג'נין. אז טוב להיות פה עוד פעם, ותודה שבאתם.
I'll sort of try to lead, given that this is a Zechut festival and that is our theme, and I think that as part of the sort of artistic or advisory committee around the festival, we talked a lot about what constitutes a Nakba-related film, and I think that we all understood that the Nakba is a continuous present. It's not specifically something that happened in 48, and that a lot of things can fall under that. I think that the intergenerational dialogue and struggle that goes on very much speaks to that. I think that one of the things that came up for me, I told you this, is that there are various Palestinian spheres, and you could say that if you were to create a dialogue, only one of many, but sort of an essential dialogue between 48 Palestinians and people outside, it might read, the Palestinians in 48 are saying to the people outside, why did you leave? And the ones outside are saying, what did you do in order to stay? And that's an internal Palestinian dynamic, but it's one that's relevant, I think, in some ways for the film. And then we see that we have a third generation of Palestinians inside who are identified in many ways, at least politically, with the people outside more than they are with the people who stayed, which is what enabled them to become who they are. So there's a lot going on there, and I wondered if you wanted to speak to that, and then we could take it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said something earlier, that, in some ways, Shadi and Abu Shadi's characters, maybe they represent their generations, but I didn't write that way or think about it that way. I'm always careful that Shadi doesn't represent anything but Shadi, and Abu Shadi. And it's a question that, I'm not a 48er. My family's from Bethlehem. They are. They might have a different take, but for me, what I was interested in the fact that Abu Shadi grew up in an atmosphere that was very tense, that was very silenced. As Palestinians, if you spoke Palestinians living inside Israel, you could not speak, you could not say who you were, you could not identify. It was criminalized. And not just 48ers, all Palestinians everywhere. In 1967, it was the same. It was illegal, to even have the colors of the Palestinian flag. Everything was just about silencing. So that is where he comes from. But of course, there are people of that generation who did resist and very much, have refused that. So that's why I don't want to say they represented that. And Shadi's character also, some people say to me, oh, it's interesting because he went abroad and he became more politicized. And it's, for me, not at all that way. He was already politicized here. He was a politicized person. He went abroad and something else happened to him, perhaps he realized he really doesn't need any of this, this shit, but his political consciousness had been already formed, and he'd experienced and seen what his father had lived through, what he was living through, why he had to leave. All these questions come up. تحكوا شيء عن الموضوع هذا؟
Thank thank you. You came to see our film. I'm proud of you. מרוב עצים לא רואים את היער בסוף. I'll try to speak English for Annemarie because she doesn't. أنت بتترجمي أوكي. أحسن حاجة. For me. אני קצת מתרגש היום, לא חשוב, תסלחו לי. הסרט הזה בשבילי מעבר לסרט, יותר מסרט. ואני מודה ומתוודה שהסרט הזה אחד הסרטים הכי קשים שעבדתי בהם, בגלל הרבה סיבות. אני שדי, לא אבו שדי, כמו שאתם יודעים. והיה לי קשה להיות אבו שדי, כי אני עשיתי את האופסימיסט, הצגה על פי הספר הנודע של אמיל חביבי, ששם הסיפור מסתיים, כשהוא מסתיים על פי הספר, שסעיד אבו נחס יושב על חזוק. למי שלא יודע מה זה חזוק, זה יתד ענק, שיפוד ענק שהיו הטורקים משתמשים בו כהוצאה להורג. מושיבים בן אדם על יתד ענק עד שהוא נכנס מאיפה שצריך ומת לאט לאט על היתד הזה. סעיד אבו נחס יושב על החזוק ומופיע האיש הגדול, השייך הגדול, הגואל, המציל, ואומר כשהוא מדבר איתו שהוא יוריד אותו מהחזוק והוא לא מצליח, ומישהו עובר למטה ואומר כשהבחור הזה ייעלם מהנוף השמש תעלה. זאת אומרת, כמו שעשה משה רבנו, שהחליט לא להיכנס על פי התורה, על פי הדת, המיתולוגיה היהודית, הוא לא רצה להיכנס לארץ המובטחת לפני שהוא גומר ומסיים ומוחק את העבדות שהייתה טבועה בנפש היהודית. כמעט משל ונמשל זה תופס לגבי הדמות של האופסימיסט, שאמיל חביבי החל שהיא תיעלם מהנוף הפלסטיני ויבנה פלסטיני חדש שסוגד לחופש וגאה במשהו. לכן אני אומר שהסרט הזה היה מאוד קשה לי לשחק שוב את האופסימיסט בסרט של אנמרי ג'אסר. יש לי הרבה כבוד לאנשים האלה, כי הם בעצם קורבן של הכיבוש. הם קורבן של הכיבוש שהיה ב-48, והתכופפו כדי לחיות. ולהתכופף כדי לחיות זה מאוד כואב. מאוד. לכן היה לי קשה. אני חושב שמאוד חשוב לא להתכופף ולא לשנוא, להגיד, לצעוק, לא להאשים, לפתוח את הלב ואת הראש. לכן אני גאה בכם, בגלל זה אמרתי את מה שאמרתי בהתחלה. תודה רבה, אנמרי.
עכשיו יצא שסלח הוא בעצם אבו שדי.
סלח הולך להיות אבו שדי, כי הוא יהיה ערב קרוב.
Should I open it? Who dares after that?
First of all, I'd like to thank you. I thought it was a beautiful net film. I've seen films all my life, and I think this is one. I was very touched by this film. I was touched by the characters. I was touched also by the concept. I was touched by the concept of this being, in a way, in the United States, I've always seen the journey movies where characters enter cars and drives 1,000 miles, and he goes through the process, and it's like, in a way, it's weird because these characters enter the car in the same city, and I wanted to ask you about the city since you haven't lived here. It seems like your film had a lot of love for the city, for Nazareth. And I understand that you haven't been here before, so it's kind of, I wanted to ask you about that. But it was so interesting that you took the concept of a journey film and you had two characters in the car driving around in a very small parameter and going through a journey of their lives. And I think the most important thing, and I think this is a very interesting film for Israelis to see, because I'm not sure that we always are aware of the conflict between the generations and the conflict between Shadi and Shadi's father. By the way, I do believe that he had to bend, but in a way, his bending is what kept him here, and that also, to me, seems as a victory. So it was really a special film for me, and thank you. And I'd like to hear about Nazareth. How did you come to love the city so much?
We have 48 Israelis here.
Well, I fell in love with a Nazarene. And I have to say, I mean, my relationship with Nazareth is actually quite complicated. And I think for both of them. I'm not going to speak for you. It's your city. Yeah. No, but for me, I mean, I grew up. I know Bethlehem. I lived in Ramallah. I mean, I know the West Bank very well, and only as an adult, actually, during the Salt of the Sea. Like in my 20s, I started coming to 48, and there was something very, I mean, it was like the forbidden place, and then suddenly I was able to come and be here, but also be invisible because most Israelis look at me and they have no concept that I'm Palestinian because I speak like this, and so I could be in spaces and I could do, it was like almost being in another dimension. And seeing like the lost Palestine everywhere. Everywhere I look, I see Palestine and what was lost, and Nazareth. And then I think for me this film is a love letter to those people who did remain, the people who managed to stay, and they're still here, and it was a community, like his family they're all in Nazareth. Like he has, 200 cousins in Nazareth. My family is the opposite. We're the Palestinians, most Palestinians, 75% of Palestinians, we were scattered all over the place. We're refugees. This is like a fantasy just to be here. And then, and so I think I was very interested in this conversation, therefore, that Shadi and Abu Shadi have in this city that is full of people who are so proud, who have remained, and at the same time they are totally crazy. I mean, there's like a craziness, there's a sense of humor, it's a survival, like there's something very special specifically. I think we live in Haifa now. Haifa is very different. Nazareth, because it's really a ghetto, and there's a lot of frustration there, and so I have this. I mean, I have a complicated relationship with this city that. I love so much, and you see what's happening, and something's going to explode. Everything's going to explode here. There's a real tension.
Was it also
location?
It's all shot in Nazareth, except for where they go to deliver the wedding invitation, which is, Nazareth Elite, which is, on top of Nazareth. And, I mean, this, I guess, I'm a...
They changed the name.
Oh, they did? Really? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well.
So it will not be the same.
Yeah, so there's no Nazareth. Yeah. So those scenes were shot there, barely shot there. We had some trouble shooting there, but we managed to do it. Yeah.
I've seen other hands, but the festival director or artistic director of the festival would like to speak.
First of all, in the beginning I forgot to tell that we brought the film also thanks to Rachel, who made the connection between the festival and Annemarie. Before I compliment on the film, I want to read to everybody who don't see in the back what you have written on your t-shirt. Right of fucking return. Great t-shirt.
Thank you. I thought it was a good occasion to wear.
Fantastic. I think I want that shirt. So anyway, I saw a few times the film, and it's really very, very powerful and a beautiful film, and I'm really so happy that you agreed to bring it here and to show it. And it was really one of the topics which we thought about for the festival is the third generation of Nakba. And we have a few films at the festival this year which are about this topic. And so this was perfect for us. For me personally, you are a woman director, but you chose father and a son relationship. Why not? Where is the mother is absent, daughter is... Why?
Well, my first film was the protagonist was a woman. Other films I have done as well. In this case, it was something that was about the specific tradition that is a male tradition of delivering the wedding invitation. It's the men who do that in the family, and that's the Wajib. I mean, that's why Shadi has to come back, because he comes to do that with his father, because that's something the men do for their own wedding or for their sister's wedding or for whoever. So, and I was very interested in this male relationship. Very interested in the way, because I come from a family where women do most of the talking. Women are running the show, as in, many families in the Mediterranean. And I was interested in my brother and my father, how they don't speak as much as the rest of us speak. And what do men talk about when they're alone? And do they talk? His sister got married, and he went to, he said, I have to go deliver the invitations with my father. And he comes from a similar family where his mothers and his sisters are talking. And I thought, we don't do this tradition much in my family, but they do it in Nazareth. It's very, it's in the north in general. It's still, very much adhered to. And so when he said he had to do this, I was very excited, and I asked if I could join him and his father. And it was very exciting, and so for me, they thought it was very boring and nothing exciting about it. But I sat there, I promised I wasn't going to speak, and I sat there in the back seat, and I went with them for 5 days, up and down, delivering invitations to houses, and this is not about his family, just to say that. But it was also just the silence. I was really interested in the silence between people.
Yeah, I'd like to say that the scene with the parrot, it really happened. The parrot bit her in the same setting at my aunt's house. So it was very much inspired from real life.
It's true.
But I assume because you were there, no one fell on him kissing him.
Yeah, that was in my imagination.
Okay, I'm privileging Avi as our Cine Club host as the next one, and I'm sure he does not need a microphone. Go do your thing.
First of all, we are very happy that you're here, all four of you. We are trying to show as many Arab and Palestinian films as possible, which doesn't normally or always work, but this is one of the things that we're doing. I have one short question and one comment that maybe if you will respond to will be interesting. First, this short question is technical. Wajib, you make an appointment before you come, or no? Because obviously in one of the scenes there was an uninvited person, and so I was wondering how it works, and because it's interesting. I guess my family maybe 2,000 years ago in Lebanon had the same kind of ritual, but I'm not sure. I know there's no one to ask. What was the question?
The long question?
No, this was the comment. No, this was the, right, this was the question. The comment was that in echo of you saying that the film is an homage to those who stayed. I think the most moving scene for me was their quarrel towards the end of the film on the road, because it was both were right, and wow, and how do you bridge across those differences whenever Saleh or Muhammad take the speak, you identify with what they say, and you're fucked. I mean, we are from the outside, but yeah, it's so.
For the delivery.
Maybe the question is there a moment where that inspired this scene?
Okay, I just the Wajib. No, you don't make a phone call. You just show up. Just to answer that, get that out of the way. And you whatever. You just show up, and if somebody's home, they are. The invitation.
You wish they are not home. Then you leave it at the door and run. You don't have to say
But since for me it's a Palestinian tradition. But since screening the film, I discovered that yes, they did definitely. They still do it in parts, Lebanon, in the villages mostly. For most Palestinians, it's impossible now because we don't live in the same places. But here you can still do it. But the Greeks do it. It's a Mediterranean. I mean, it's I think. I don't know, Tunisians. I mean, I learned how many other people have this. Regarding that scene, I mean, I completely. I mean, writing it was a challenge because I wanted them both to be right, and then the film is, very, it was scripted very specifically, and that scene though, we spent a lot of time in rehearsals getting that scene up on its feet, and Muhammad and Saleh had a lot of input. It had to be really, honest. It had to be as honest as possible, and I think that's probably the scene we worked on more than any other, scene. And they would put it up on his feet, and would go back and rewrite it, bring it back to them. I mean, it was. I don't know. It was difficult to direct that scene. It was hard. It's like emotionally difficult to watch it. Even now, when I watch it, I find it difficult. And I think I can watch that scene. I've seen it maybe 500 times. The two of them are just. I feel very lucky that they were absolutely the right choice, and I don't think it would have been as wonderful with any other two actors.
אני התחננתי לאנמרי שתוריד את הסצנה הזאת. התחננתי. ועכשיו אמרתי לאוסמה בחוץ, אחרי שראינו את הסצנה ביחד, אני כל כך שמח שהיא לא שמעה בקולי. ממש כך.
הוא גם משתכר לילה לפני הסצנה, ובא שיכור לסצנה.
Nama?
One of the questions you started answering, but I would like you to elaborate on the script because it's so accurate and so funny that, I mean, it's this very understatement and mild humor, but for me it was like perfect in every way. And I was wondering if it was a live process because I felt I was in Nazareth, you know, really. I felt I heard, you know, the families that I know and the whole music and I mean, I know of course you have the actors who can bring it, but just all the nuances, for me, I think it was very universal but also very local. And I was wondering about the process of actually getting the script and even the jokes and the expressions and how Hebrew is inside and the English is inside and you know, all the very local expressions, if it was a work in progress of a team. And I also want to go back to the question of women. You said you were interested in this, but there is a very strong feeling of the absence of women that comes across. Very, very strong. I mean, and the last sentence is, this is what Amal wants, but obviously Amal is absent in the film in a way. I mean, we only see her in her wedding dress, I mean, and in a very, I mean, there's a lot of irony there, and you almost pity her because you can see that she's not able to even think what kind of dress she wants. It's just dresses are being put on her, and she has to decide out of this range of, I mean, she's very absent, and all the women are absent. So if you can go back to the women also.
Yeah, okay, well I'll start with the women. The main characters are men, but I don't think women are absent at all. I think the mother is in the entire film from beginning to end. She's a presence in the middle of them the whole time. She is a heavy presence. It affects their entire relationship and everything they say and everything they do. So I don't agree about the absence. I think it's very specifically about the fact that she is there, and she's left this you know, history, this action that Abu Shadi, of course, has had to deal with. Shadi has taken her side, obviously, and supported her in it. I mean, it's the whole reason of the tension between them. And then, no, don't feel sorry for the sister. The sister is way more mature than her older brother, in fact. The sister knows exactly what she wants. She knows that she wants to get married. She knows she's happy. She's satisfied with her life, unlike her brother. And it's not to feel sorry for her. Other people want other things. This is maybe where you think I became mature. Other people want other things, not maybe what I want. But it's what other people want. And I know women that are much younger than me, and they know exactly what they want in a way that I never did. You know, and she wants, I mean, that scene is not about her being dresses imposed on her. That scene is the fact that her father is her mother and her father, and he's been there for her as that. And it's recognized, and she knows that. And she knows also that this wedding, she's going to be with the person she loves, but it's not for her. The wedding is for the father. Yeah. It's for the family, and that's something I believe. I think weddings are not for us. I think weddings are for the family to like be happy and then goodbye, you're free. Like, you know, that's what I personally think. But so yeah. The first about Nazareth, about the script. So I mean, I listen a lot and I write a lot, and I'm a writer, and that's my background. That's how I came into cinema. So the script is you know, the most important thing for me, and the jokes and all of the nuances. You know, that's just listening and hearing. But then also, like, I would write something. I write in I write in English, but then dialogue I write in Arabic, or I think about it in Arabic. I write in like, it's a very strange process you hear the discussion in Arabic, but you write in a format that's English, and then it has to be translated for funders. But then the whole script has to be translated for the actors. And Ossama was very involved in that process because there are also very Nazarene dialect and things that it had to be right. And so he went through the whole script. There's things, the way you say things in Bethlehem is not the way you say things in Nazareth. And then both the actors also had during rehearsals and on set. Neither one of them are from Nazareth. We had dialect coach from Nazareth with both of different dialect coach for both of them.
If I can add something, I felt really differently about the film in terms of gender. I felt like this whole notion of wajib and being dutiful would, at least stereotypically in terms of what I might be bringing to watching the film, I would think of it as a mother stays put no matter what. She makes all her sacrifices. Those who know me. And a father goes off and does whatever he wants and pursues his dreams. And so that, Abu Shadi is the ultimate woman in a sense in the film. Mother. He really is and so for me, the minute that was established and that that your character comes back and dutifully, comes to do that process, it felt like gender in any typical sense was almost irrelevant, and the mixing up was again, not necessarily mixing up for what happens in reality, but mixing up for what happens in our heads in terms of what we, the assumptions that we might bring to the film. So I had a different take on it.
There's the scene when Shadi and Emma have a moment to themselves, and then he wants to talk to her about, the mother, the fact that the mother might not come, and then he can't manage to do it, so he talks about, Fawzi Balloon. But she looks at him and she says, you really don't get it, do you? For me, that's her character. That's where you see that in her youth and in her fact that she still lives with Abu Shadi, she gets something that he is not understood yet. By the end of the film, I think he does. But at that point, he's pushing at him, and he doesn't get something that she got a long time ago.
One last, you got to speak already. One more, guy in the back.
I thought to ask the question, it's not really about the movie, but you said that Nazareth is like a ghetto, and you could say one or two words, because I didn't fully understand why. And Muhammad said in the beginning that it would have been nice if the Palestinians would have stood upright, not bending, but stand right and oppose the Zionists, but not be angry at them, not hate them. And that's very interesting. If you would explain more about how you oppose your oppressor, but you don't hate him.
I'll just answer quickly, and then I give you.
I didn't get what you said, but
But Zuri has an answer.
Nazareth is a ghetto because Nazareth is entirely Palestinian, and there are no Jews living in Nazareth, unlike Haifa, where somebody comes and picks up our garbage a couple times a week. There's municipal services. The difference is incredible. Nazareth is people are vying for housing, for their rights, for jobs, when you have that kind of stress and tension, and there's no way out. You're not allowed to build, out. It's really like they're being squeezed, really squeezed, and so you have this really ghetto mentality, and that people's reaction to it is to escape, to be violent. I think it's true all over the world when you really have that, or you have this like these characters in this film, they come from, they all, like I said, it's fiction, it's entirely fiction, but it's all coming from a real place. There's nothing in the film that is made up. Even with the characters, I think the way you deal with, how you find your peace of mind, how you survive. It's a survival. It's a city of survivors.
למה נזרת גטו?
How do you resist without
It's because I am an actor. I am an actor, and one of the first lessons we study in acting school is not to judge the character. And not to judge the character is to put yourself in his shoes. I mean, to be yourself with all what you feel and what you think and what you believe, and your perspective is much wider when you are not judging. So you can be angry, you can shout, you can express yourself, but you, like, you know what? Like the story about the two wolves. In every human being there are, it's not my saying, I read that somewhere. In every human being there are two wolves. One is good and one is bad. Yes? And they are fighting all the way, all the time. Who is winning at the end? The one you are feeding him. I am not feeding my hatred. I'm feeding my humanity. I'm feeding my belief in the other, in the different, not judging the different. I can fight with you with respect, without hatred. This is my belief. And that's the way. I don't want to hate. Even if I feel that I hate somebody who did wrong things to me, bad things to me, I'm trying to tell him, you are stupid. Because some people in our world, when they were being executed, when they were during the executing of them, they said, you are so stupid, I fight for you. So when you are like that, you cannot hate. And I think this can protect your dignity and your belief of your right to be and to live in dignity. That's what I mean.
I'm going to ask one last question. It's probably a question you've heard way too many times, but it's really one that I'm sure everybody is curious about. If you could say a few words about what it was like to work together for the first time, at least on that scale, if there's any insights that you have. You can also make a joke. You can also say it's a stupid question, but I respect you for asking.
It's a long story. I remember my father since I remember myself, so it's a long journey squeezed in 1 hour and a half or 1 month of shooting. So to talk about that needs a lot of time. But I can say that I enjoyed working with my father. He's a great inspiration to me. And I've got the essence of acting from him. And it was a great opportunity Annemarie gave us together to have this blessing moments together, express our initial tensions and love and everything.
It was very hard to work with him. Really hard. But as I told you, When there is a love, everything is possible.
Shadi, Ossama,